Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of Commander Cheapskate's Reviews. This is a series of videos that's dedicated to different products and our review of them, and whether or not they're a good buy or not. So with that being said, we're going to review today this document, which is Necromunda's The Book of Judgement. This is the electronic book version of the rulebook they'll be looking at today. This is the latest release by Games Workshop for their Necromunda line of games, and so this one's another supplement that allows you to play the Palatine Enforcers as a faction within your campaign. They also feature some additional rules that you can add to your own turf wars as your campaign progresses. So today we're going to take a look at this product and talk about what it exactly contains, what are some bonuses about it, what are some things that we like about it and don't like about it, and finally whether this is a good buy or not. So that being said, let's get this video on a roll. So as you can see, we got a really awesome looking cover here. It says the Book of Judgement on it. We got this very looking Judge Dredd looking type character for the Palatine Enforcers, which is primarily the main reason why I bought this supplement, was in order to get those rules for those gangs. So let's go ahead and jump right in real quick. As you can see, we have some fluff that they have, of course, talking about like how the Palatine Enforcers have to be crushing down on the populace and be kind of like a force of oppression, because the high houses of Necromunda are, of course, very corrupt and also very oppressive to the people. And this is the main part that we're looking at today. There's a couple of contents here. We're going to talk about that real quick. So the nice thing about this game actually, this little addition to the campaign adds some really cool features to your turf war campaigns. Pretty much does basically 5 things. The first thing it does is, first of all, provides background information, which is located in this area here. It talks about criminal activity in Necromunda. It also talks about the various factions that you could also ally yourself with the different criminal organizations on Necromunda as well. So if you want to add another layer of difficulty or another layer of narrative to your campaign, this would be a really good system for you guys to use as well. It's very similar to the Book of Peril in the sense that there are new factions that you can add to your existing campaign as well, that your gangs can actually join and make alliances with. And those exact same thing, which is the second part of this book. It makes you have a criminal alliance with these different groups. And of course, these are the various criminal syndicates you have. You have the Cold Traders, the Imperial Imposters, Rogue factions. You also have Rebels and Weirds and Factorial Work Gangs, and all kinds of different things that you could use. And you can make your alliance with any one of these different groups as well, and they all come, of course, with their own perks as well as cons for joining every single one of those gangs. So that's the second thing that this book does a really good job on. Talks about, the first one, the different groups. Secondly, what kind of bonuses you get as well. Now, probably the main thing that you'll probably want to focus on the most, which is item number 3, is the Palatine Enforcers. This shows you exactly how to make up your gang for the Palatine Enforcers, what their weapons looks like, what their different gear they can equip, what their stats are, the skills they have, how to play them in your campaign. This is probably the main important reason why I actually bought this product, was just for these rules alone. In my current Underhive Wars campaign that we're running for Sector 7 Turf War, we actually have a player, Sister Serial. She plays Palatine Enforcers in that one. So Paladin Enforcers, I'm sorry, not Palatine. I'm just getting my words mixed up. So Paladin Enforcers are kind of an important part of that campaign, so we wanted to look at this so that way we can see what kind of factions and things that they can do, and abilities they have for the rules and stuff. And also the nice thing about this, we also have the Paladin Drills, which is a new set of skills that is unique for the Enforcers. That way they can access those, and those are some pretty cool abilities located for those guys. Now, the fourth reason why you probably want to get this product as well is probably this one here, the Law and Misrule campaign system. This campaign system is actually kind of cool. It does bring in an old game mechanic that was around in the mid-90s when Necromunda first came out. When Necromunda first came out, the very first supplement they released was called Outlanders, and in that campaign system they offered a whole new series of gangs that you play, Redemptionists, Scabbies, Pit Slaves, those kind of things. And they also gave you a couple of hired guns you could use as well, but the most interesting part about it is they gave this idea of that how your gang can become a criminal organization and what kind of pros and cons you face as becoming a criminal. So in this campaign system, if you decide to use the Law of Misrule campaign systems, you could choose either be a law-abiding gang or a criminal gang, an outlaw gang. And depending on what path you follow, you have different bonuses and perks associated not just with your alliances that you have with your criminal organizations, but also what kind of equipment you can buy, what kind of goods are access to you, what kind of special rules apply to you as well. Same thing with Dramatis Personae as well. What hired guns can you hire for your gang, that kind of thing. And there's actually both good and bad for both. both for Rule of Law as well as Path of the Outlaw, depending on which one you take. And they're actually kind of interesting as well. Another interesting thing about the Lawless Rule campaign as well is that we have this new campaign system here where you basically have infamy and duty abilities, which allows you whether you gain notoriety as an outlaw or reputation as being a member of a law-abiding gang. And also, the nice thing about it is that we add these intrigues and rackets subplots. The intrigues are kind of like hidden bonus objectives that you can accomplish in missions to earn various boons, while the rackets, of course, are kind of like an addendum to territory. So one of the cool things about that is that any territory that you currently have, you can run it alongside a regular turf war campaign. So for example, if you were to have a narco den territory that you could actually run a racket like drug smuggling out of it, narcotics smuggling out of it, and that could earn you more additional credits and reputation and different boons with that as well. So it's kind of like a nice way to kind of quickly stack up your credits and stuff. And probably the biggest feature, which I think is kind of neat about this, is we have what's called the new black market trading post. And this one is really, really cool because it gives you a whole bunch of different new equipment, weapons, special ammunition, armor, all kinds of different things that you can use inside of your campaigns as well. The black market's kind of neat because right here, this is probably the biggest one. You have new weapons under the Imperial weapons reference, so things like power fists you can start using now. Different gear like that. They even give you a couple of Xenos weapons as well, so things like the Kroot long rifle is one of the things that you can use as well as some other things that you can use for your gang as well, which is kind of cool because you get some variety to represent the fact that there's aliens gear being sold online, being sold in the marketplace, as well as the underworld Necromunda. You also have corrupted weapons, which is a new one, which actually gives you abilities that relate to chaos and the chaos forces. So if you're actually playing a chaos cultist gang, you get some really cool equipment using that for the corrupted weapons reference as well. And also, you also have Imperial weapons that kind of counteract against corrupted weapons, which is kind of cool too. And that also falls into the weapons and equipment aspects of it. And that's the main, in my opinion, those are the main 5 things that kind of might try to draw you to getting this product as well. Now, of course, you have hanger-ons as well as Dramatis Personae. If you're into that kind of thing for your guys' gangs, that's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty awesome as well. In fact, a couple of my fellow players want to start including some Dramatis Personae inside their groups as well. So you have like new hanger-ons like a narker or a proxy or a propagandist, depending on these guys kind of give you some bonuses for your criminal alliances that you make. So all kinds of different things as well. So that's one of the kind of like the overview about how this pretty much works. So let's go ahead and start clicking into some of the aspects. Let's go ahead and take a look real quick about making a criminal alliance real fast. So as you can see here, they give you some notes about how you can do as a arbitrator, how you can hook up different gang alliances. Talks about how you make those alliances, what kind of benefits and drawbacks you get as well. Also, if you violate your alliance, what kind of penalties you can suffer from that as well. And as you can see here, they kind of give you some of the, for example, the cold traders here. They talk about what kind of benefits you can get for them, as well as what kind of drawbacks you have as well. And that does that for every single one of the groups as well, which is actually kind of neat. So you got fallen houses, which is actually one of the ones I think is kind of neat is the fallen houses aspect. You can actually work for outcast or outlawed noble houses that used to exist, which kind of gives you a whole bunch of cool stuff from there as well. And as you can see here, it also kind of gives you a little bit of how you can also, using the guilds from the previous Book of Peril release, how you can actually help out with that as well. And so they kind of give you all kinds of different things that you can use for you to work with in order to use for your campaigns as well. It's all kinds of cool stuff. But like I said, the main draw that I really kind of got from this was the Paladin Knight Enforcers ability. So it gives you some background information about the Enforcers, and it kind of tells you the layout of the organization as a whole and how it pretty much lays out. But probably for me, the most important part is the gang composition. They also give you some names that you can have for your enforcers as well. They talk about the rules about how you get your materials. They also show you how you can run territory inside of your campaign as well as the different stats. They show you skills that you can use as well as weapons. So that part is kind of cool too, which makes it really, really neat for that one. Let's go back to the table of contents real quick. Let's see here. There we go. So that's some of the things that you can see for the Paladin Enforcers as well as making criminal alliances, which is kind of cool as well. In fact, if you go to the Black Market Trading Post, which is probably one of the coolest things about this, it actually shows you like different kind of weapons you can purchase, what their kind of different ammunitions that you have. They've made a huge change in the different ammunition that you can get for all of your gear as well, and for already gear that you already have. Same thing with armor, personal equipment. Chems now are a huge in addition to this. Talks about the different things you can use for that as well. So there's all kinds of really cool things that you can use for your campaign, and it kind of makes it look really, really cool as well. So that way you can add some pretty neat stuff to it. And then, of course, like I said before, you have your Dramatis Personae, and of course you have your Palatine drill skills. Let's go to that real quick. So you can see here you got your different skills that you could apply for your different members of your gang as well, for your enforcers as you use them. And oddly enough, as weird as it may sound, as a Palatine Enforcer, you could actually, if you wanted a Paladin Enforcer rather, if you really wanted to, you could actually become an outlaw, enforcer gang if you really wanted to, according to the rules, which would be really cool. It's kind of like a Training Day, Judge Dredd type situation where you're actually playing corrupt enforcers, and you're kind of like putting your own stuff on the street and actually currying favor with different gangs if you wanted to as well. One of the coolest things about it is that when you take over a territory as a Paladin Enforcer, you can either police the territory and clear out the criminal elements in that territory and earn yourself some reputation, or you could actually give that territory away to another gang of your choice, so there's, introduces some backstabbing and some manipulation type of mechanics into your campaign, which is actually kind of cool as well. So this part is really neat. It's got a lot of cool features on this one, and it's really happy that we actually got this for our campaign. So that's my review of the product. Now, as to whether buying or not, it just kind of depends. You could easily run a campaign without buying the Book of Judgement at all. You can just use the normal rulebook campaign rules for a turf war. Perfectly fine with that. If you want to use it, do a campaign with the Book of Perils, and then add the Book of Judgement on top of that to make your campaign extremely layered with different alliances with guilds and criminal organizations. I mean, that just could be just a fun and a half. Personally, as an arbitrator, because I'm currently running the campaign for my gaming group, I can see how it can be a little overwhelming if you're an arbitrator, because then you got to worry about making alliances with guilds. You also got to worry about making alliances with the criminal organizations, and then everything else in between. So that can make it kind of interesting as well. The big thing I think would be kind of cool is to run a law and misrule campaign alongside a regular turf war campaign, where not only are you claiming turf, but you also got rackets and stuff like that you can also pass that as well. And if you're having enforcers being involved inside of your campaign, they can try to crack down on criminal activity or promote it. If you wanted to do something like from the FX's TV show The Shield, where you have a really corrupt unit of enforcers who are playing as barons of the underworld and making and wheeling and dealing and things like that to the underworld, that could be really cool as well. Overall, I think this is a really good product. I really like all the new additional rules that they've added to it, as well as some of the different skills and weapons effects. The weapons, to me, is probably one of the coolest things on here. The new equipment and weapons that you can use. A lot of cool toys that you can add for your gang, which is really, really neat as well. As well as some of the different things you can do for intrigues and rackets. I think that's kind of really neat as well, and some of the things you can run with that. So overall, I think it's a really good buy. If you want to use it for your campaigns, you want to add a criminal and law and order element to your current campaign, I think that'd be kind of a good way of doing it. So that's going to do it for this one, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the greatest news about the hobby aspect of this channel. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.